Alrighty guys, like I said, these things do make a bit of a difference, and they made so much of a difference on my bike. I can't say so much of a difference. They made a good improvement and a good difference, and it actually convinced my buddy to go ahead and do it on his own bike here. So putting a nice fresh set of ceramics in my buddy's 2020 S1000RR over there. I just got this front wheel stand, not necessarily for this job, but we'll just say I did. And it looks really cool on the wheel stand there, I must say. If we check that thing out. Pretty cool. So I got the wheels off here, the back wheel obviously, and then the front wheel over here. And we're going to be putting these bearings in, and I thought, you know what? I'll kind of do some precautionary measures to take when you're putting these bearings in. So a couple of things that I wanted to touch on is how you actually remove these. In the last video I did, I kind of showed you what I was doing, you know, without actually showing you what I was doing. So this is what you got to do when you want to remove the old wheel bearings from the bike. So if you look down in the wheel there, that's the bearing, and this is that inner piece that I was telling you about there. That collar that goes between the bearings and sits inside the wheel. It moves just a little bit. You got to take a screwdriver or something and get it to move out of the way enough so that on the other side down there you can actually catch the edge of that bearing when you're using your punch or whatever you're using to tap on that other bearing over there. Again, they make kits for this, but this is kind of the easiest way to do this. So with that out of the way, I'm just going to knock the old bearings out, and then we're going to install those fresh bearings. And I think I'm running low on my dusting air, so I might have to hit up some nitrous for this one. But we'll see. I'm going to knock these things out. Alrighty guys, now that we have the bearings out, again, there's a couple things that we need to remember, and one of those is always have the axle of the wheel you're working on. So this is the front axle. This is the old wheel bearing. Notice how the front axle slides nicely into the old wheel bearing. Okay, this is the new wheel bearing. It should slide just as nicely on the new wheel bearing. There shouldn't be excessive play. None of that going on. It should fit on there just like it's supposed to. Alright? Very important that you don't miss this step, because the last thing you want to do is put this bike together with the rear wheel bearing in the front wheel, or vice versa, the front wheel bearing in the rear wheel. So in addition to making sure that they both fit on the axle, you just want to hold them next to each other, kind of like that. Eye them up. I mean, you can get as technical as putting veneer calipers or micrometers on these and making sure they're the same. I mean, you can get a good idea just looking at it by eye. Same thing with the outside diameter. You just want to make sure that they're about the same and line up. So these look good. Another thing that I tell people to do, get the old bearings away from the wheel. Last thing you want to do is accidentally grab one and start knocking it in. Sometimes, like here's a set of bearings out of my other bike, so out of my ZX. Sometimes if you look at the bearing, you can't really tell. They both have black seals, so that's why I say if you have the old set of bearings out of the way, so when you're working on that new set of bearings, you know, that's what's going in the bike. Alright, so I'm going to use a little bit of science here. Some heat. I'm going to heat up the wheel. And once this wheel is pretty warm, I'm going to take my canned air, or maybe even my nitrous, and I'm going to chill this bearing down, and hopefully it works to where I don't even have to tap on this bearing and it just slides right into place where it's supposed to go. Now I was doing some looking around and I didn't really see any info on how this goes together, but since this has a speed sensor ring on the left side of the bike, I assume this is going to be the fixed side bearing if there is going to be one, because the other side is actually a little bit adjustable. So I'm going to go with the idea that this one's going to seat all the way to the bottom. So that's what we're doing now. We're just going to heat the wheel up, super chill this bearing, and then hopefully she just slides right in. Got some heat coming off of it. Got the correct bearing. Now what I found worked really good for me is, let me see if I can find it. This guy here. Hold on to that sucker there. Get it pretty square. Then you just take your canned air here and blast away. Just don't get this stuff on you. It's pretty chilly. So that's nice and cold, and this should just slide in nice and easy. Oh, of course it didn't. So now I'll just tap it down. It shouldn't be that bad. Going to tap on these, as long as you're tapping on the outside of the bearing and not the inside, it will be perfectly fine, and it's not going to hurt anything. You're not going to damage the bearing by doing this. Then my little driver here sits nice and flush on this. So this will just drive the bearing in. Now that's nice and flat there. It should go in pretty easy. I'm just going to heat this bearing up more next time. So that's good. And that spins nice and freely, just like it should. Now before I finish this up, now I am going to be running the seals here. I'm putting the seals in this one here. So I'll be putting those in. I gotta wait and make sure everything lines up first. But before I forget, and before anybody else forgets, this is a very important step here. Make sure that the collar goes back in. So just give it a wipe down, make sure it's clean. You want to make sure that you didn't nick it when you were taking it apart. Axle fits nice through there, spins nice and freely. You make sure you didn't catch it with your punch when you were driving that out. Put this back in. I don't know how many times I've had somebody put a wheel together and they didn't put that collar back in, and that will mess up wheel bearings quick. And you don't want to do that. So do not forget that collar when you're putting this stuff together. Again, this isn't a race to get this done quick. Just don't forget it. But I'm going to finish driving this stuff home and see you on the flip side. Alrighty guys, they are in. And you just want to make sure that your axle still fits through. And this one does. It's good. We didn't forget our collar. Now there are a couple different ways you can do this. Now my buddy here, he didn't want to go without the seals. You can run without the seals. I don't recommend it unless you're racing. you know, where you're really worried about that every last little bit, you can run without the seals. But I'm just going to take these here and put just a low friction, this is like fork seal grease here. So it's very low friction grease. And then I'm just going to coat those seals with it. And that'll help, you know, aid the spinning of the wheel, because your axle here sits in that seal there. So just a little low friction grease there where that axle slides in. You shouldn't really notice those seals being on there versus being off. But there are a couple different ways you can run these, and he just said, you know, I'm not that crazy about getting the most out of this, so you just pop those seals back in and should be good to go. Only thing left to do is the rear wheel. Alrighty, I ran out of canned air. Got a little bit left, but it's nitrous time. Gonna give this a shot, see what happens. Hopefully I don't freeze my hand. Keep my hand out of the way. That's cold. Come on, baby. Should pop right in. Let's see. Oh, that was better. That wasn't too bad. I don't know if I got the, what do you call it, hotter, or that just worked better. I don't know. I don't know which yet. Haven't decided. But now I've wasted too much time, and of course it's probably not going to work. There we go. Beautiful. Well, that's all the way down, as far as I can tell. Give it a tap with a little bit of a metal one. That's it. Nitrous worked pretty good. So a little bit more expensive than the canned air, but hey, worked a little better. So, yay, nitrous. Alright, the bearings are on. I've got the bike all back down on the ground. And as usual, I've got a humongous mess to clean up. But that's nothing unusual for me. So next time we see this, I'm going to take this thing out for a ride. Now, I already know what the difference between before and after is on the bike. So I didn't spin the wheel and do that because I did all that. If you guys want to see what the difference is with ceramic wheel bearings versus stock wheel bearings, just check out my video on the ZX14, or head on over to my Instagram or Facebook page, Matt's Moto Works, at Matt's Moto Works, and you can see the difference between stock bearings versus the ceramics. It's a world of difference. What I really am interested in seeing is the owner of this bike, James Harden, who you'll see in the next clip. He is going to go take this thing out for a ride, and I just want to see his reaction after he's done riding it. I'm just going to have him take it for a quick run up and down the street, and you should get a feeling of the bike just being a little bit freer moving, and it's definitely a noticeable thing. For me it was. I just want to see if it's the same for him when he goes and takes it out for a ride. But yeah, it's done. It's late. I can't start this up now, so I'm just going to have to close it off here, and then once he shows up, I'm going to have him take it out for a ride, and we'll see his reaction to that. Alright, Bob. You got to let me know if it feels any different.
I'll let you know. Super slow as it is. You said it already feels different just pushing it.
guess that's a good enough reaction. He didn't come back. I got a little bit of it. Of course. Is that cool?
Yeah, he went really fast.
Actually kind of looks like Toothless a little bit. What do you think, Buck?
Yeah.
Can you tell?
Oh, yeah.
It seems like
That
it turns
glides.
a little bit easier, doesn't it?
Yep.
That's
Definitely
like...
worth it. Picks up a lot smoother, too.
Yeah, we noticed. We noticed. When we first saw your coach, I go, no, he's driving by.
I was going to, but then, yeah, little something. Definitely, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, like I said, it's not like... It's not crazy,
It glides, like,
but you can tell it's
pushing,
It's
starting
like
off.
changing
It's just,
wheel bearings on a skateboard. You can
Yeah.
feel just the difference. Like,
that joint was
from
clean,
what was
man.
nice.
I appreciate it, Maddie. Thank you.
good
Good
stuff,
work,
man.
like always.
Yeah, like I said, I wanted to hear it from somebody else, not just me saying that it does make a difference. You know what I mean? Not that I'm crazy.
you sure?
It's
You
just,
are crazy. Feel it.
yeah, bro. I'm telling you, just pulling off. It's just like light, nothing's there.
Well, sweet. You should take it back to the diner now and see if you actually hit that magic 200.
Yeah, maybe. Might have been the little oomph I needed.
Yeah, that extra horsepower maybe.
The extra slice of
I would
butter
definitely
to
try. I would
slide
definitely
you
take it
in.
on dyno. Definitely.
Sweet. So there you have it. I don't know what that is, but there it is. Another satisfied ceramic wheel bearing customer. Now all we got to do is convince Buck to go to the drag strip.
I mean, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll
All
get
right,
there.
we'll convince Buck and Gabe. Get to the drag strip.
Got a lot of miles to do.
That's put it down, but I don't know. Like I said, I noticed a difference with them. I know I wanted to give it to Buck and say go ride it because it's actually amazing. It's hard to see it. It's a feeling. It feels different. It feels like it glides across the road. I don't know how to. It's just difficult to freaking
It has
show
finesse.
you. Yeah, it has finesse now. But until the next one, guys. I think Buck even told me I can ride this, so I'm probably going to do a review on this bike so I get to enjoy it for a little bit. But till the next one, we'll see you.